In the previous tutorial, we have connected our Ionic application to Firebase authentication. In the login page, let's put some styling. Go to the Ionic documentation. Scroll down to Ion card. We'll be putting a media card to our login screen. Copy the sample code of Ion card. Let's transfer the Ion grid inside the Ion card. Replace the image with your public image URL. Change the card title and subtitle. Click on Save. And now your login page has some styling. We will then work on the register and forget password. Open your terminal. Type in Ionic G-page register. The register page is now generated. Go to the Ion router. Here you have some documentation on how to navigate to different pages. We'll be using the Ion router link. For Angular, use an A tag and the router link. In the login page, let's add the router link to the register section. This will route it to the register page that we have created. Click on Save. Once register is clicked, the register page is now displayed. Now let's add a back button in the register page in case the user wants to navigate to the previous page. Go to the Ionic documentation, scroll down to Toolbar, and click on Ion Back button. Copy the code. Click on Save. Once you click on Register, you'll now see the Ionic Back button. Now, we'll be creating the contents of the register screen. Inside the Ion content, let's delete the generated codes. We'll be using an Ion input inside the Ion item. Add the Register button. Here we have the email and password, as well as the register button. In the register.page.ts, let's create a global variable structure called account. Bind it to the ng model. We will then create the click event of the register button. Let's try to see the account values in the console. In order to register the user in the Firebase authentication, let's check the Firebase documentation. Create the user by calling the method createUser with email and password. Copy the import code. Create the global variable auth. Copy the createUser with email and password sample code and put it inside the registerUser method. For checking, let's write the created user data in the console. Write the errors in the console as well. Click on Save. Now let's try to register a new user. Here we can see the data of the new user and the return data from Firebase with a generated UID or unique identification. Go to the Firebase authentication, click Refresh. We now have the new user registered in the system. We will now create the code for the forget password functionality in our app. Go to the Ionic documentation, click Ion Alert. Scroll down to Inputs. Let's put an alert like this. When you click on a button, it will show a pop-up screen where the user can enter some data. In our case, allow the user to enter the email for the forget password option. Copy the sample alert code. Go to your login page and paste the alert. Create an ID inside the div tag, call it open, forget pass. Use the same ID to trigger the alert. Configure the buttons and inputs of the alert. Copy the public variables. For the alert inputs, we'll be using only the email field. For the alert buttons, create two buttons, close and reset. Create a handler for the reset button. The handler receives the data entered, which is the email to be reset. Create a method resetPassword. Call it inside the handler. For now, let's write the data in the console. Now, when the user clicks on Forget Password, a pop-up is shown to enter the email. In order to reset the password in the Firebase authentication, go to the documentation. Scroll down to send a password reset email. Copy the import from Firebase Auth. Copy the sample code. Paste it inside the reset password method. Pass the auth object and the email entered by the user. Let's show an alert message. Let's now try the reset in our app. An alert is now shown. We have sent you a link to your email. When displaying messages in your application, let's use the Ionic alert pop-up. Go to the documentation. In the Ion alert, scroll down to controller alerts. Your app message will pop up like this. Copy the alert controller import. Import it in your project. Inside the class constructor, import the alert controller as private. Copy the sample asynchronous present alert method. We will only use the message for now. Declare an importing string message. Now, for the alert during reset password, call the new present alert method. Click Save. Let's test it. Now, when user tries to reset password, a nice pop-up message is shown. Stay tuned for the next part of our tutorial.